welcome to today's session. And today is on something different. We are not going to use Excel, which is almost a bit like what's the word now? There's a word they use when you are kind of like going against what everybody expects or what is the norm. So in this case, we're going to use a new app called Causal App, and it's amazing. It's a new challenger, and they are very focused. What they want to do is just simply to help you build models easily, more robust, and easier to share with people. But I think their biggest selling point is ability to build models really fast without having to be good in Excel. So it's a very big plus for them, and I think it's something that everybody in the financial modeling space should also be aware of, even if you don't know how you're going to use it to replicate all of what you do in Excel. But then it can be it can be an easier starting point for people who especially non-finance managers, we just need to put their project plan, their budget plans, and some other models around the business in something easier than Excel for them. So I'm going to share my screen. The name of the app is Causal App. Maybe what I'll do is I'll get for us also the link, and going to create a new window. So if you go online and you type Causal App, so it's going to bring you there. I'll share the link right now. Let me also join on my second device so I can monitor comments and all, and also share. Okay. So I'm going to drop the app link. Okay. So this is the Causal app, and there are some templates I'm going to take us through. Turned on my second device. And monitor chart on this other one. Okay, great. So I will take you through the templates so that you get an idea of how it works. But let's sign up. So let me show you how, if you get into the web, the app page itself, then how you're going to sign up. So if you go to sign up free, it's got pricing, which again, I think you should use it first and be certain that you're going to get value for your money before you start shelling out $50 per user per month. So the good thing is once you sign up, it gives you 30 days free trial. So that is enough for this demo. I'm going to say I want to sign up free. Okay, so what has happened is, okay, it's 15 days free trial it gives you. What has happened is I have done that step. So it remembers that, oh, Michael has done that, and it's showing you, if I scroll here, you see it's showing that I have 15 days left of a pro trial. So when you do that, it's going to, let me sign out so that maybe you see the experience. I'm going to go back to the app. Okay, now that I've signed out, if I do sign up free, it's going to ask you to enter email, password. So once you do that, that is all. That's the only step that I have taken that, anybody new will need to take first. So I'm going to just log in since I've done that step. So once you log in, what will happen is you will see this page on your left, this panel on your left. And what I usually do in most cases, I try to go through a tutorial, but since it doesn't make sense for me to be playing a tutorial while you are in here, let us see how it works. So I'm going to go through a template. So this is usually what you will do next after watching maybe that 2-minute tutorial. So do you want to create a model that is related to buy and rent, a SaaS financial model, a startup runway calculator? So there are different models, right? And maybe I definitely want to do this one, a SaaS financial model, because it's a financial model, and it kind of ties more in line with the agenda of this webinar series. So I'm going to definitely do that one. But let's take a look at the different templates so that you get some ideas as to how this works. And the environment can be new compared to Excel for those of us who are used to Excel, but using it is much easier. That I can assure you. So once I open the template, right, it's whatever the view the user has set as default is what renders. This view you are looking at is the visuals view. So this is where you start using it. What's the home price? What's the down payment? And the moment you say that, well, you want to take this as a template to build yours, you say use this model, then can you see that this view is different? So you have 3 different views. There's the cards, which is very useful at the initial setup when you're trying to set up your model. The cards makes it easier because it helps to collapse into one very obvious space, your inputs, the calculations. There's another thing which is output, which this person has not added in his. So what we'll do is I will just show you as many different templates as possible. Then we will create one from scratch from our own familiar financial model. So that's the approach I'm going to use. So this is a spreadsheet view, which I guess, it has this, you can scroll both up and down. And again, you will find, I hope my screen is not too tiny. Let me see if I can increase my zoom. To do that. To display settings, increase it to 250. It should be looking bigger. Okay, yes. Yeah, it's too big for me, but I prefer it looks big for you so that you see my screen. You don't struggle to see what I'm showing. Okay, so continuing, remember what I said, that there are 3 views under workspace: card, spreadsheet, visuals. This is what we saw when we accessed the template originally as users. And I'm guessing this is also what, when you have done with your template, people are going to consume it. That will be the first thing they will see. Let's go to another example. So if you look at this SaaS model, which is more of what I want us to do something like, okay? So I'm going to click on enter the model. And then as you see, what is the average revenue per user? So this is very interesting because in Excel models, you use color codes, like there's no very distinct separation between input section and output section. But you know what they have done? They've made the default view to be a place where you allow the user to specify their input. So if we say for us, our average revenue per user is $25, I'm just typing it in. The whole model will change accordingly, right? And then if I say, okay, what is our percentage gross margin? So it even allows you to write it in English way. If you think that the gross margin is 60%, you write it, and everything again is going to change, factoring whatever you have provided. And then if you think that you want a range, so I can say 60 to 75%, and again, it will change. So what about the customer acquisition cost? How much are we spending to get each customer? Maybe we are spending exactly $12 to get a customer. So these are things that you, the user, or your model users can key in, and all of these naturally compute. So if I go here, I enter how many subscribers are we starting with? So maybe we already have 100 subscribers. We will be getting about 20 subscribers per month, and the growth rate of the subscribers are 10% every. Okay, so starting from that new month, we are growing at 10%. You can see how the graphs are changing, right? And what's the reactivation rate? You know, so let's say for me, I prefer to use retention rates. But well, nonetheless, let's say maybe we got a 10% reactivation rate. And what's the churn rate? So let's say we've got 10% churn rate. And as I fill in those information, the entire model is adjusting. Okay, great. So it's adjusting. We're going to create one from scratch anyway. I'm just trying to show you what is different about and kind of nice, you know. So if I share this with someone, I save this, and so if I save and I share, you'll be able to access and also use it in this dynamic way. I'm going to go to the other one. So this one is a wrong way. I think you get the old pattern. So let me just go to straight to we building one from scratch, right? So we're going to build one from scratch. Here's another one. Nice. So we're going to try to build one from scratch, and I'm going to do our usual financial model, the ones I keep using in most of our one I use in most of our webinars, and is also in the class. I'm going to go to pick up UK financials. Okay, so let's use this. So if you remember this financial model, what's the whole premise? It's a company that manufactures face masks, hand sanitizers, test tubes, and syringes. Okay, and there are different expenses. There are all of this. So if I want to recreate this model, I want to recreate it in Causal. So how are we going to do that? Let's go to Causal. So I'm going to go to Home menu. I'll say I want to create a new model. So I'm going to come here and say I want to create a new model. So once you log, for those just joining in, maybe I'll just start afresh for those. I noticed a lot of people joined in after I've done some of the. So I gave us the Causal website. I'm going to post it again in case you missed it. So the Causal website, this is it. Then if I go there, and they've got a very nice YouTube environment to learn. So you can also go on YouTube to watch their. Let me get that out for us. This. For some reasons, they don't seem to have so much of followership. I guess because they're in that niche modeling space. So on YouTube, if you want to learn more about it than what I'm able to demo right now. All right, so let's go straight to, I've gone to the Causal website. You will need to sign up. Once you sign up, you'll get a 15 days free trial. And so I'm going to click on login. In my own case, I've done the sign up. So I'm going to say, I want to create a new model. So what am I going to call my model? Let's call it CK Healthcare. Okay. So maybe as we do this together, you will see it right now. It doesn't completely replace Excel because I don't think it does a full Well, let me not limit it. Let's go on. Let's see. We'll see the limitations ourselves. So I don't start creating bias in your mind. So this is the default environment. You see everything is empty, right? Number one is I want to set my timeline. So I want to start from next month. So I don't want to start from this month. I want to start from a completely new year. So let's say, or should we start from January this year? Which do you prefer? Should we do a model where we have some historical data and we are just saying, okay, we are starting from this year, or I should start completely from the next year? Okay. Anybody who wants to influence the direction we go? Okay. So if no influence, I'll go into next year. So I'm going to start from next year, 2022, in January. So for now, let's leave it 1 month. So I think this will be very useful for those of us who you have managers who should be involved in budgeting, in operation setting, demand planning, and some things that requires them giving you numbers in month by month and in a very well structured way. But those guys are always struggling with Excel. Like Excel gives them like memory block, or what's that thing where you just stand in front of the screen and you are just kind of paralyzed because you know what you want, but you don't like it. So that you don't like it paralyzes you. So many managers, many non-finance managers, they experience that. This can be a way for you to help them to break out of that limitation. So Causal can be very, very useful for you to help your non-finance manager. So I'm going to set that I want it January 2022 to December 2022. So once I save that, so next is I need to create inputs. If you look at our model too, we call these inputs, right? So these are definitely inputs. What are we selling? And then what's the different things about them? So in this case, face mask, hand sanitizer. So I'm going to come here and say, I want to add a variable. And this variable I want to add is, see, in fact, I would prefer to break them down, to categorize them, to have variables that will be for face mask, another set of variables for hand sanitizers. Okay, so I would like to create even a category rather than just so that's for me why I think if you come to workspace and you go to card, so remember what I said, you have 3 views or 3 modes. So if I go to cards I think makes it easier to do that. So I'm going to be able to say I want to create a new variable and like that. So I also want to categorize the variables. Let's use card to create them. So I'm going to go back here. I'll delete this and this. Hit them. Okay, I've seen what I'm looking for, but nonetheless, so I'm going to go back to cards. Okay. Keeps wanting me to do tutorials because he knows I'm new. So let's start. Or let's call it units. Units. So you see, this is kind of easy. Unit price. Unit price. What other thing? Unit costs. Unit cost. So now these 3, I want it to be for face mask. I want these 3 to be for face mask. So what do I need to do? I need to group them. If I right click, I'm going to group these. So what am I going to call the group? Face masks. Okay, so I have face mask. So I'm going to go here now and do, maybe we'll do for 2 products so that we can go far before the end of the whole 1-hour session. So I go for the same thing. Let me even see if I can duplicate this because that would be really nice instead of having to type it again. So let's see, copy and paste, allow. Okay, this is really nice. So I can actually copy and paste. So I've done that. I'm beginning to use knowledge of what I like to do in Excel. I hope it has not. Okay, good. So I'm going to group this one. Remember, if you're familiar with Excel, you know, if you click on one and you hold Shift and you click on the last in the range, it does that. So, okay, great. I'm going to group this also. So I'm going to call this and sanitizers. And I'm done, you know. So these are the variables that I want, but let's pre-populate them. So let's say we are starting with let me use round number. So let's say we are starting with okay, it wants me to enter the data. It wants me to enter the data in the spreadsheet view. Okay, not a problem. So let's just set up all the structure here then. Then we'll go enter the data in the spreadsheet view. It's almost like Excel too, where I set up the structure first, then I enter the data after. It's just that in Excel, sometimes when I'm done setting up structure for one category, I enter the data, but I'll be flipping between. If I want to do that, then means I'll flip back to spreadsheet and start entering the data and saying, this is maybe 100,000, 1, 2, 3. Maybe this is unit price. What did I put? Face masks. Actually, face masks are 100 naira. Maybe it takes us, cost us 35 naira to produce. So you see there, this is how its own approach works. And hand sanitizers, how much did they sell? Let's just say it's 1,000 naira. No, let's start with which one should sell faster. Let's say this one. I'm going to change this to 500,000. We are producing 900,000 a month. And then this one we are producing 100,000 a month. Okay, great. Then this one we are selling for, I don't know. Let's say this sells for, how much they sell on sanitary? Let's say 1,000. And this sells for, what did I even use? Oh, I used 500. So let's say 500. And this, it costs us maybe, those things are easy to produce actually. 100 naira to produce. Okay. And so you get the whole idea. But like I said, when I'm setting up, it's easier here. So I'm going to go to calculations. So what are calculations? Calculations are now some of the things that I did here, where I'm saying, okay, my total revenue is going to be the units times the unit price. That's a calculation. So I'm going to come here in calculation and say I want to create a so face mask revenue, something like this, face mask revenue. Then I'm going to do equally for hand sanitizer. So this face mask revenue, it's a calculation. So I want to enter the calculation. I don't know why it's not letting me type in here. In the manual that I read, you could do the formulas here. But nonetheless, I can go back here and do anyway. Maybe I'll just switch to this spreadsheet view and stay here. So this is going to be equal to face mask unit price, units actually, units times revenue will be this, right? Okay. Zero divided. Okay. So I'm not supposed to put equal to. I'm still used to the Excel approach. Okay, good. I'm going to add another calculation. So this is going to be hand sanitizers revenue, and it's going to be equal to is going to be equal to this. Units from hand sanitizers times price. Okay. And what other calculations will I be doing? Let's see. I also like to calculate total revenue. Yeah. So total revenue is going to be equal to face mask plus face mask revenue plus hand sanitizers revenue. Okay. Now, also in my input, how are we going to grow? So let's check out what I did here. What's the growth rate I used there? I think I used like 20% growth rate. So this price flat, or let's just create another input and call it cost inflation. That will affect the costs. Then price increase. So how we are going to increase price? Then unit growth, production growth, production increase. Production growth. So you see how all the things you think of in your head is easy to just be writing them without being confronted with that giant Excel spreadsheet and rows and columns. So I'm going to group this one too. I'm going to group this. So I'm going to call these used to call all these things now. Let's just call it model inputs. This would be other model inputs. Maybe I'll call it other inputs. Other inputs. Okay. So if we think our cost is going to be growing at 10%, inflation Nigeria, and are we going to be able to pass that growth in cost directly to consumers, or, we will charge more or whatever? So let me just mirror the same 10%. Then what if we're able to grow our production, at 5%? Now this will be month on month, so I have to actually be careful since my model is month on month. So let's say this will be growing 1% month on month. In that case, this will be 0.8%, 0.8%. Okay, so that this will work month on month. And then you might be wondering what happens to all of this, right? Awesome. We're going to talk about them. So the units are supposed to be the starting value. So this will be the start value, but starting from February. So starting from this one, it should be growing in tandem with let's not do that approach so that it won't confuse the users. So we're going to I will do it. I don't have time. So we're going to grow these at the growth rates, the production growth rates. Good. So once I do that, so starting from face mask units, production growth rate, sorry. 1 plus the production growth rate. And I'm going to drag this now. So you can see how this is becoming familiar with our exec. It's just that because I reduced my zoom, let me see if I can drag this. It's the dragging is, let's see, there should be a shortcut. Fill right, control right. Okay, that's cool. It even helps you with shortcuts. So you see, charts are beginning to come up by themselves, right? So I'm going to do likewise for this one. So this is supposed to be also growing at 1 plus the cost inflation, price inflation, price increase. So I do that. I can't find it again. Or I entered it in the wrong place. Should be here. Okay. Why is it going to that place? Yeah. Okay. So let me just do it all over. This is equal to this one times, okay. So I'm getting some learning curve. Yeah, good. Then Control Shift right, drags it. So I do likewise, this is equal to this one times 1 plus the growth in costs, cost inflation. I remove this. Then I do Control Shift right. So you're beginning to see that this is almost done, this part now. It's done. Okay. Let me look at my time. Okay, good. We'll create scenarios too. It allows you to create scenarios. So let's do for hand sanitizer. If I had known, maybe I would have used just one product so that will go faster. Then I'm going to go here. I'm going to have to do likewise. The units and the production growth. Then I remove the minus equal to. I keep forgetting to put the one plus. Okay, so I'm going to, let me see if this can drag down. But the only problem is it won't know, it won't know, it will pick the wrong thing. Maybe if I had arranged, let's see, if I arrange this, shift it up to go its data. Can it go up? Oh, that's really cool. Then let's say I drag this one up too. So let's see, maybe I can drag this down, and if, let's see what will happen anyway. There's no harm in trying. There's no drag down. Okay, so there's no drag down to write the formula again. And this will be this m into bracket 1 plus my thought I dragged this one up. Yeah. Right. is equal to this times the 1 plus this for cost inflation. Control Shift right. Okay, so that's done. Then, so my revenue, so this is the main reason why I needed to do that, so that the revenue will be, so this will be my revenue. If you look at my Excel, I have it in a sheet called revenue. So this one, I can't be creating sheets like that. So I group all of these. I call them revenue schedule. So you can collapse, you can expand. What about chart? What if you want to see, a chart for all of this? So what do I do? If I select this, no, select, then I say I want to insert a chart. So I right click, I want to create a chart. What kind of chart? Let's do bar charts. Column charts. Okay, maybe their own column is bar. One. This is not nice. Okay, maybe I should remove. I'll remove total, since it is doing a. I'm going to remove this total revenue. Okay. Okay, so let's see. Yeah, this is better. Okay, so we have a chart, and I'm able to see how it's growing, what proportion is coming from face mask, what proportion is coming from hand sanitizer. And the advantage of the chart is when your users are going to use it, they'll start from a visual. This is the view. So you want to put in as much charts because the MD, the decision makers, it is the charts, the visuals, the what is going to happen they want to see first, right? Then later they can say, okay, let me see your calculation and the rest. So we will add more as we go. Even for unit production, face mask produced, that one produced. But let's go on. Let's do for cost. So face mask cost of sales, and I want to add more. Add more. Add variable. What happened? Control Z. Oh, like I've scattered everything. Cancel view. So I think there's a limitation with my trial account. They are not going to let me create more than 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's try again. 1, 2, 3. Face mask. Okay, I've seen what I was looking for. Yeah, I've seen what I'm looking for. Face mask, cost of sales, face hand sanitizer, cost of sales, total cost of sales. And as you already are aware, this is equal to the units. So the interesting thing is, you see that I'm picking from here. I don't have to pick and be dragging like we do in Excel. That's the really very nice thing about this. So I'm picking the units we produced, and then I'm multiplying it by the cost of sales, right? That would be the unit cost. And that's all. I need to remember to remove this. You see, it will correctly do for every period. That's one thing they've gotten. That's one problem people have in Excel. All these locking of all these references, absolute, relative. So I need to be faster because I want to show you scenarios. So I'm going to do this faster for hand sanitizer units times costs. Remove the equal to sign. Then total cost is equal to the face mask cost of sales plus hand sanitizer cost of sales. Okay. And I'm going to group this as cost of sales. Cost of sales, okay, I expand. Then let's go back to our Excel. What are the other things? So let's say I want to even start building up my income statement, right? So I already have revenue. I have cost of sales. I can calculate gross profit. So output now. Output, I want to do revenue. I want to do cost of sales. I want to do gross profits. I want to do what are all those things we'd like to? General and admin expenses, marketing expenses, so general, just call it expenses. I also want to do what's the marketing expenses. I want to add, check. That I can have the operating expenses. Operating Then after operating expenses, operating income. Operating other things. So I'm just going to add finance costs. Maybe this company does not have finance income, so let's forget about that. Then profit before tax. And then profit after tax. Any more minutes, profits after tax, net income. Okay. So immediately what I want to show you is scenarios. I can create scenarios. So default is the scenario that you have instantly. But then I can say I want to create a new scenario. And I'm going to call this, let's use our typical terminologies, best case scenario. So best case scenario, what's going to be different in best case scenario? So in best case scenario, I want to change some of my inputs. So best case scenario, I want to say What if we're able to grow production faster, 1.2%? What if price increase, we're able to charge more than our cost inflation? Okay. So what other things will change? So maybe those are the things I want to tie to my best case. Then I want to create another, so I go back. I want to create another scenario. So I'm going to create another scenario. I'm going to call this my, you can see how easy it is to create scenarios. It didn't let me, and I don't like that name. I want to change the name. Uh, Scenarios. I want to change the name. Let me delete it. I don't like that name. I want to call it my own, the name I like. Okay. Let me double click on this if it will let me change the name. That's strange. Okay. I can leave that. I'm sure it's me not getting anywhere to change it, but let me do what I want. So this one I'll call it worst case scenario. So worst case scenario, our production does not ramp up fast enough, right? Maybe that's just it. Let's keep every other thing the same. And so what does this do? What this does is that a user can always easily toggle between the scenarios and say, okay, I want to see best case scenario, and everything will change to adapt. And I can go back to the default. Okay. So even the chart will change. So let's quickly do enough to practice the third view. So the third, let's do revenue. Revenue is going to be equal to total revenue. So it's easy. Cost of sales is going to be equal to total cost of sales. Then gross profit is going to be equal to revenue, total revenue, minus cost of sales, total minus output cost of sales. Then general and admin expenses. So let's say in this our business, I'm just going to do something more straightforward. So I'll go to other inputs. In other inputs, we'll say percentage general and admin, G&A, as percentage of revenue. Okay. Then I'm going to do likewise for marketing and distribution. Marketing and dist as percentage rate. So let's say this, we are spending about 20% of our revenue on this, and we are spending about 15% of our revenue on this. That's like 35%. So yeah, it's going to be equal to revenue times the G&A. Here is going to be equal to the revenue again times the marketing. So total operating expense is equal to general and admin expenses plus, you can see how easy it is. I'm just typing. So it doesn't, part of their selling point is there's nothing like cell A1, A2. So errors in terms of cell references will not happen here, because every time you look at a formula, you would see exactly what it is picking. So you won't be like, okay, what's in A1, what's in A2, which makes a lot of sense. And so what would be this one? Gross profits minus the operating expenses. Okay. Finance costs. Do they have a loan that they are servicing? Let's just say 0 for now because I want to be faster. So 0 finance cost. Profit before tax is going to be equal to operating income minus finance cost. And the net income is going to be, what about the tax? What to do the tax? Go here. Our tax as inputs, percentage tax, tax rates. Let's just say 32%. So here, our tax is profits. Profit before tax times tax rates. Okay. So net income is going to be profit before tax minus tax. Minus tax. So you see how all of this now, if I had a revenue chart, our revenue is growing. Cost of sales. Cost of sales. You know what? I'm going to change these charts to bar. Bar will be better than what we have there. So I'm changing the chart type to bar. So I'm going to do likewise for cost of sales. Create a chart, create a bar. I'm going to do likewise for gross profit. You see how easy it is to create a chart too. I'm going to do likewise for net income, operating expenses too. Net income. So what happens is, at the end, when you share your report with people, the view they will get as default is visuals. And can you see how nice this looks? So it's showing them, I need to rename this. This is, maybe I should just remove this, if you ask me. Not too crowded, let me just remove it. Okay, good. So this is what they see. They see how our business is going to do revenue-wise, and the chart is not bad. And they can come here and say, oh, let us go to a different scenario and see what will happen, you know. So for me, I know I'm not a pro on this. I'm just beginning my exploration on this. But at least you can see how we can take some of these things we have in Excel and create them here really quick without typing any complex formula or doing anything that anybody who can use Excel, who can use the web. Anybody who uses internet can be able to do what we have done. So that is it. Is there any other thing I was planning to say? I've talked about, yeah, I've talked about scenarios. So yeah, so those are the things I intended to demo. Any questions as I wrap up, or contribution or opinion or whatever anyway regarding what this tool and what you think about it? Will it be useful for you? Do you see any use for it, within your own work scenario? Anybody? Anybody? Okay, so nothing from anyone. Then there's something else this thing has. I'm not very good at it yet because, like I said, I'm just By the way, you can bring in data from QuickBooks, from Google Sheets, they keep expanding that anyway. The thing I want to bring up is that you can add notes. So unlike what may I have done where, let me see if I can quickly do it, if it won't take too much of a time. If it don't take too much time. Okay. So if I go back to workspace, I go back to spreadsheet, and then uh, and then sorry, I need to add a visual. Let's see how I'm going to do that. Add visual. From visual. Let me go back here. So what I want to show you is, okay, maybe it's under here. I'm supposed to do that. Add a visual. Add a visual. Okay, maybe I won't waste our time, but I can show you what I'm trying to do. So I bring this here. See, you can create this type of stuffs where let me go to workspace view. You see this explanation? Right. So it's another interesting thing. It's called visual, freeform visual, where I'm trying to look for where to add it. That's the problem I have on like these ones. I know how to do these ones. We've already done this together. I don't yet know how to do this, but to be nice, so you're able to add and you can reshape it. You can drag it around. You can. So it's another cool thing that it has. Makes it easy for your report to be easy to consume. Let me just give it a try once more. I want to add a freeform visual. I'm not adding new view. Okay, so any questions? Time is up. Let's end it here. Let me not use us to start learning something new. But you got what I want to show. I don't know where to add it. So that's it. I'm new to with this tool, but I know it has that capability. So should I end the session now? Are we all good with what I've shared? No contribution, no opinions, no comments. Okay, in that case, thank you very, very much for joining. And, hopefully give it a try. At worst, you can let it be a way for some of your colleagues who are non-finance guys to provide some of the information you need. You're working with some startup, you're working with some small businesses. This can be easier for them than Excel. And this can be, especially those who like to do everything on the web, that they don't like installing Excel and doing stuff from Excel. This is also another tool that can be that gap bridging tool for them. So thank you very, very much. And by 4 o'clock, we have another session on Excel. Let me show you what that session is. So by 4 o'clock, we have a session on Excel. There's problem. My colleagues did not update it. I have to reach across to him. Then by 6 o'clock, we have how to do more with slicers. So I'm going to share the links, especially of the one that's been updated, so that you can join us. Join us at 6 p.m. Custom slicers can do more. Instead in that, I don't really know what custom slicers in Power BI. The regular slicers I know. So thank you very much and have a very wonderful rest of the afternoon. So I'm ending the session right now. Bye.